Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. In this episode, we'll be speaking with the team from KOR Blockchain. This conversation was recorded on August 31st, 2022, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of KPN directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also make sure to follow our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy. Welcome everybody to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. Today we're going to be talking to the team from KOR Blockchain, who are doing some really cool immersion mining with their NFT project here. So very interesting AMA today. So welcome. Why don't we just start off quickly with a little recap about what KOR mining is all about and what you guys are bringing to the table.
Cool, and thanks again for having me. I really appreciate putting this together, and as well, thanks for everybody that's joining in today. So I'm Chase Balliet. I'm the founder of KOR Blockchain. So I started as a home miner around a year ago, and then started mining Decred. So then I started getting into some Kadena mining and everything, and in the process, after setting up around 7 or 8 ASICs, I realized that, okay, this was a lengthy process. This was both a lengthy and expensive process. So then enter KOR Blockchain. So KOR Blockchain is a mining service that's gone Web3. So what that basically means is you can come to our dApp and select a variable hash rate of your choice and be able to mine from the comfort of Web3 from your house. So all the miners are already plugged in at our facility. And basically, like I said, you go in and select a variable hash rate and start immediately receiving profits. So that's kind of the basic rundown of what we are. We have certain things like immersion cooling that we just implemented this past month that we're really excited about. But yep, so that's pretty much what we have going on here at KOR.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are building hard. So let's get into what we're here to talk about tonight, and that is your upcoming NFT mint. Very exciting news to see that you guys are finally got that all settled out and got set up on Kadena, especially now that we have a wrap token that you can use, which really I'm sure was the catalyst of being able to do this, because last time we spoke with you guys, that was one of the issues, was that there was no stable coin, being that you guys wanted to do a USD value for your NFT sales. So let's get a little bit into the NFTs themselves, if you want to just explain how they're going to operate and how that's going to work.
Cool, yeah. So fairly simple. Like I said, you come on our dApp, you get to select 1 to 100 terahash and basically get to mint your NFT and start receiving profits that day you mint. And payouts are sent every 2 weeks. So for our first sale, we have a total of 500 terahash available. So a very, very limited supply that we have coming around this first supply. And basically what we're going to do is we plan on, with that sale money, reinvesting into new ASICs and constantly be having supplies that are coming out. But there is a couple things to note for this first supply that make it stand out, is specifically a couple utilities that I can kind of read off right now. The first one is going to be the OG Badge. And I'm sure that you have some questions regarding the OG Badge coming up later, so I'll save that for that. So also too, minting from our first supply will grant you future hash rate discounts. So by ultimately minting from our first supply, you are labeled OG and you will be able to get discounts on future hash rate. And then also another thing we'll be implementing in the future is immersion cooling hosting. So this is for the people that already have their miners, but want to get into immersion cooling and overclocking. We'll open up that part of our service where you're able to send in a miner and we'll basically overclock it for you, which is going to obviously improve your profitability and the length of the miner. So that will come with a immersion cooling hosting spot, like whitelist for the utility of our first supply here. And then also, just because every other project throws it in, we're going to do some cool merch for our OGs. So that's what we have in turn for our first supply.
Now, I also notice you've released kind of what the NFT is going to look like, which is pretty cool. And I also noticed you released your little mascot, Kory. Kory looks really cool. Kory looks like now is Kory something you've had in mind since you originally started and were called Crypto mining?
So we were Crypto, that's how we started with, and then we moved to KOR because obviously, like you just try to pronounce there, it was confusing to the people. So we were like, okay, let's just go KOR here, and then we were like, all right, we got to give this guy a name. So we went ahead and named him Kory. So Kory will be our mascot for all of our sales. So next supply, expect Kory to be doing a different animation basically. So with our first supply, the way the art works is it's separated in Rarity. So it's going to be the same animation, but the color scheme will be different. So we'll have a blue, we'll have a gold, we'll have the pink, and then we'll have the spectrum color. So depending on how strong your hash rate is, will depend on the Rarity color scheme that you get. So that is for our first 500 terahash for sale here, coming up this next couple weeks. And then, like I said, once we launch another sale within the next 2 months per se, then Kory will actually be doing something else. So yeah, we plan on having Kory around as long as Core is around. So
I like that idea of having so each it's going to be the same animation for the first run. Like he's going to be doing the same thing in each NFT. It's going to be the color scheme and like skins and backgrounds pretty much that are going to be changing based
correct.
on the amount of hash rate that you purchase, right?
Correct, because we plan on basically running this service for the 120 years Kadena is going to be able to be mined. So, I mean, think about all the different NFTs that are going to be making. That's why we didn't decide to put the money towards each individual animation art, for each NFT. So that is why we kind of kept it basic, but we still wanted to give rarity within each drop, So that's what we did the color thing with.
Yeah, I like that idea of still having the rarity because it's not really the NFT itself is not really like it's just a kind of a marker saying that you
Yeah.
own this, right? So
Receipt,
like it's
correct.
not
Yeah, the
yeah,
receipt.
it's just a receipt. So it's not really even necessary for it to have anything. But in the same time, you are in the NFT space, so people are expecting somewhat of something of kind of art. And I do like this idea of having it based to the different rarities based on the amount that you purchase because it's going to show like if someone say sells it secondary after the fact, people are going to know roughly it's going to be between this much and this much hash rate because it's that NFT. So
Correct, man. That's
yeah.
exactly why we did that. Yeah, you're 100% right on that. So we wanted a way that people can distinguish, like, okay, this is going to be that, just to save a couple seconds with your filtering and everything. So
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what the secondary sales will be. Is there any kind of things with the contract of when you buy this NFT, do they have to hold it for X amount of time or anything like that? Or is resales going to be able, like, are people going to be able to just turn around and flip these things if possible?
So yeah, the thing is the only halt on being able to sell it will be until we have our marketplace done within the next couple months, or we're planning on using Mintit and integrating in their marketplace. So just until that time is up, but if somebody's looking just to buy the NFT and sell it within, like, this is the long-term game of mining, so I feel that there's gonna be maybe one or two people that actually want to do that. So besides that though, yeah, there's no limitation on it, and I think it's cool though, due to our contract length. If there's one year left in the NFT contract, that means somebody can go in and they don't have to get locked in with a 4-year contract. They can go scalp a 1-year contract from the market for the low. So we do feel that was needed.
So now, when you mention these contracts, does that mean that if I purchase an NFT on the mint date, that it's pretty much valid for 4 years, and then at which point you have to like renew or something? How does that work?
Correct. So 4 years from the time of mint. So every NFT will have a different expiration date, and this is because the life of the ASICs. Any these buy once, mine forever deals going on. It's just not sustainable. The average life for an ASIC miner is 3 to 5 years. So I mean, that is where that we try to meet in the middle with that. So after 4 years, which if you can get 4 years out of an ASIC, then you did something right, and we feel that we'll be able to with immersion cooling, but yeah, basically after 4 years, you're able to come in and renew the NFT. And because you have already participated in, core mining, and if you wanted to renew that, that's the whole idea of the renewal with the discount that brings that utility of holding that first round NFT. So that it will essentially be a renewal if you want to renew it. And we've even explored with, say if you're 2 years down the road and you're like, wow, I want to up my hash rate, then being able to add 2 to 10 extra terahash for that remaining 2 years. So we really want to make this as variable and ease as possible.
Now, going with the different tiers and rarities, let's say I buy a mid-tier one, would it be possible before the contract's up to upgrade it to the next tier, or would that be a whole other mint that you'd have to do?
So are you saying like the actual like the rarity changes for that last year?
I mean more like, so let's say I buy 20 terahash, and it puts me in a certain, I'm not sure exactly which tier that would put me in when it comes
That'll
to
be the
the
biggest one,
rarity.
yeah. So maybe 19 for this instance you'd want to use.
Okay, yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah, one of the low. So let's say I buy like two terahash, and I'm in the
yeah.
very lowest tier. And I want to then purchase more and go up to the next tier. Would that have to be another mint, and I would own two separate NFTs, or is it possible to upgrade your NFT?
So yeah, that's the cool thing about having the upgradable contracts on here on Kadena is we can upgrade it. So it can be on that same NFT, you know, and then upgrade it and then change the art for that specific rarity.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking to know. Because,
Awesome.
if let's say if you wanted, like, if someone gets into it and just isn't sure, and just wants to put a little bit into it at first, but then realizes like, oh my God, like I can get all of these perks and all that. I'm going to get all these perks and all this stuff. So they decide, okay, I'm going to go a little bit more into it. That they have that option. Because,
Correct.
with a lot of other NFTs, you might not have that option, and it might be, well, you'll have to mint, another NFT and blah blah blah. So it's
Correct.
definitely that's definitely something also that makes Kadena unique in that way, that it's able to do stuff like that. It's kind of neat, some of the different, and it's just another way that you're utilizing the tech, which is
Correct,
awesome.
man. And like I said, shout out to Adrian in here on that amazing video explaining all that. And that's really what we need is we need people coming and explaining like the utility of the actual like marmalade and what it's going to do. So I want to thank him again for that.
Yeah, because we have enough. There's enough NFTs out there in the world that are just, art that don't really do anything. And if NFTs want to survive and the technology wants to grow, it needs to shift out of the art world and into the utility world. Like DEXs and DeFi are great examples of that. What these mining groups like KOR are doing are great examples of that. DocuShield,
Correct.
Minted, things like that are another awesome examples of that. And it's just something that it's going to. I firmly still believe that even we are so early still in the crypto sphere alone, but in the NFT sphere, it's all this art stuff is the infancy, and the future will be when governments are using blockchain to hold records and stuff like that. That's the future.
For sure. And then, yeah, with Marmalade, there is the sort of utility that big corporations want to come in and use because they're essentially, I'm not going to go too far into it, but essentially they can make more money on Marmalade. You know, there's actually utility within that mainstream is going to want to adopt.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see the adoption coming, even at an early stage, through, like I said, through people like you and other great projects that are working. So let's explain a little bit more now about the OG badge, because a lot of people probably are interested to learn what all that entails.
Yep. So OG badge. So what that means is if you're we want to reward the people that minted from our first supply because that's ultimately the biggest risk is taking that leap of faith with us. So what the OG badge does is it's going to grant you 1% of all the future NFTs minted from KOR. So if you know anything about KOR, you know that we're building our third facility right now that will soon be able to home 900 miners. So if you're able to earn a percent of KDA rewards from all those future NFTs, that ultimately is the incentive to trust us. So the OG badge will last for 5 years, and yeah, basically it's going to be one per wallet. What we're going to have to do though is because we're afraid that people, minting 5 terahash are going to go to 5 different wallets, mint 1 terahash to get 5 OG badge. What we're going to do to redeem the OG badge is you'll have to do a KYC. And I understand that, KYCs can be a bitch and everything, but essentially we need to protect the supply of the OG badge so people aren't duplicating them, which will in turn increase your payouts. So the increase of supply of OG badges will basically dilute the rewards. So you get one from minting any sort of NFT from our first supply. So that's the basic rundown on the OG badge.
So I've watched a little bit of the video that was just released explaining some of the OG badge stuff, and the best way to explain it is, say 500 people all mint 1 terahash each, then that 1% reward is getting split between 500 people. But
Correct.
if, say, 100 people mint 5 terahash each, then the OG rewards are split only between the 100. So it makes more sense to have, if you're going to get in, to buy a couple of terahash to make that pool smaller.
Correct. And also too, this is why, we're not launching. We have more terahash at our farm. We can have a bigger launch, but we really want these OG badges in 2-3 years to have a very high floor price, because we think that's doing more benefits for, our company as a whole than, sitting here selling out and inflating the supply. So we are doing specifically 500 terahash to keep the supply low, so the rewards are greater on it. And I don't know, I guess everybody can kind of look at our last Medium paper after this, and we actually project our future hash rate with kind of a projected amount of people we are expecting to mint. I know the numbers aren't prime, but we did a minimum supply 15 badges due to giveaways, and we did a maximum supply of 515, assuming everybody minted like a 1 terahash. And the average that we found was, the OG badge being worth around 2.5 to 3 terahash. But if a whale comes in and scoops up, a KD max of 40 terahash or even more, that'll really deflate the supply, and we can be looking at an OG badge supply of around, 50. So that is a cool thing. And like I said, those numbers projected for the total hash rate are going to be hit. And we personally expect more, but we don't want the numbers to look, insane. So then, and it looks like we're, just trying to sell from it. So we try to be really honest and transparent on what we feel our terahash will be within the next couple of years.
I've worked in the crypto sphere now for about 5 years, I guess almost going over 5 years now. And I've worked with a lot of very decentralized projects like DigiByte and others. And we always had a saying of under promise and over deliver.
100%.
That's always the safest way to go. Try not to set specific dates, because crypto can be crazy that way. But
Yeah.
Get all your things lined up before you ever take that leap. So
yes,
it's great to hear that you guys are thinking that way.
Yes, and that is our philosophy at KOR, is building before we market. We've been building this farm for the past, months, and we just came out on Twitter 2 months ago marketing our NFTs, and we didn't say a word about our immersion cooling until about a month ago, and then we had already had our immersion tank ordered. So that is the philosophy we want to be recognized as, is we're not just sitting here like, a normal NFT project and promising all these things down the roadmap. That is where we want to differentiate ourselves, in the fact that we hold our word and we build before we market. So
just the fact that you guys already have a huge tank with a whole bunch of miners already mining right now, shows that, you guys are serious about this. So when it comes to the NFT sales and selling the first 500 terahash, assuming then that money raised from that goes into buying the next round of miners, filling another tank, and then having more terahash to then make for the next further collections. And then pretty much that's just going to be exponential going throughout time, right?
Correct. And we'll basically always having from the prior sale, because we've self-funded that. So we'll always be taking the prior sale and always making sure that we will have more hash rate to sell to the public. Because ultimately the whole goal of the project was create a mining service that people can use via Web3. They can go on their X wallet, they can click a button and participate in crypto mining. So that was the whole aspect of that. So we will always continue to scale up. And then before our third facility is built, I don't see why, or third facility is full, I don't see a reason why we stop there. If we've already proven, the concept of this Web3 mining, why stop there? And that's why I'm firm and say that we will be, until the last Kadena is mined, KOR will be around doing this. So
now, you mentioned something earlier about the OG badge pretty much providing an extra boost of terahash to what if you buy it. So would that mean that, say I buy a 1 terahash NFT, right? Like I'm one of the first people that mints, get my OG badge. Does that mean I'm going to be getting 1 plus a little extra?
So yes, so the OG badge, essentially, because it is all 1% of all NFTs mined, or all NFTs minted in the future, basically every time there's hash rate put in and sold as NFTs, that 1% is of more of a total hash rate. So that OG badge actually is going to be growing in hash rate. So when it is, so essentially you're earning KDA from the hash rate. So what the OG badge essentially is just another NFT that is hash rate. Like that is what it is, hash rate. So you'll mint your 1 terahash, but in 2 years you'll have more than 1 terahash. And we feel this is necessary to hedge, against a market that is going to be stable. So say if Kadena, for whatever reason, wants to stay at the same price for the next 2-3 years, as long as we're constantly adding terahash in, you're earning more Kadena than that 1 terahash you bought previously due to the OG badge. So it's a way that we also essentially can hedge against a market that's bad.
Now, you mentioned that the OG badge is good for 5 years. Will people have a chance to renew that if they want as well?
Yes, with that, the renewal for the OG badge we obviously cannot project the price right now for that, because who knows how much hash rate we have and who knows what the supply is. So who knows how much the terahash, we can only speculate. So we don't want to say a price now. And then what is the price of terahash at that point? So we're not going to sit here and say, okay, you have to buy this because you would just buy the terahash NFTs from us if that was the case. So we're going to make it. So basically it's still low budget, but it's still like you basically, just renew it for a lower price. So essentially it'll be like a very big discount on what that hash rate resembles.
Now, I know my fair good share of about proof of work mining and how it operates and stuff. Now, as more people start finding out about Kadena and start mining it, let's say, for example, some huge company like a MicroStrategy or something like that decided, I'm going to buy 20,000 KD box plus miners and I'm going to fill this huge thing and build this huge factory. Is it possible that someone could take over the chain and diminish the returns for you guys?
So yes, network difficulty will definitely increase, resulting in us getting a lower piece of the pie, which is essentially you getting less piece of the pie. So that can be balanced out with coin price. So as long as Kadena and everybody sitting in this AMA right now obviously believes in Kadena, and I do feel Kadena is one of the most educated crypto communities, is the most educated crypto community on the blockchain. So we're just ultimately believing that Kadena will, be that $1,000 to $2,000 one day. So if it becomes $1,000 to $2,000 one day, then that whole aspect of network difficulty pretty much becomes negligible. So think about the difficulty of Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining or Kadena mining is not even close to 0.1% of what Bitcoin mining is, but Bitcoin mining is still profitable. So that is because of ultimately the market cap of Bitcoin being through the roof. So essentially, yes, that is a possibility, but we don't think those big companies are going to come in and do this until Kadena is $500, because that's essentially how it works. People will FOMO in, and that's when all the big players will jump in. So we would have been well mining for quite a time before then. So I don't feel like it would really impact us too much.
Yeah, no, that's completely makes sense. Yeah, because like you said, people FOMO in, they don't see the gems in the rough, and a lot of people I think are overlooking Kadena because. But I strongly believe that that's going to change probably in the next month or two when a whole bunch of proof of work Ethereum miners are looking for new homes.
Yes.
So that'll be very interesting to see how that's going to change the landscape.
Correct. I think that'll just bring the eye to Kadena, because they're going to go on what to mine. Okay, what can I mine now? That's essentially how I figured out about Kadena is we were mining Decred, and then I'm on what to mine. I'm like, what's this purple little K here? Check it out, and then just love everything you see about it. And yeah, essentially that is going to be driven from miners leaving Ethereum. So
now, just a little bit off topic, but what's your take on the Ethereum changeover? Do you think it's going to be a good thing, or do you think it's going to be a complete collapse and disaster of Ethereum?
I don't necessarily think it'll be a collapse and disaster, but I am, you can say a proof of work maxi here. I just don't believe in the aspect of proof of stake and the centralization of it. So, having the big players running the nodes, and I understand that there's nodes are open to the public and everything, but if they're planning on being like any other proof of stake, I haven't looked into all that, but if they're planning on being how these other proof of stakes are in the terms of the more coins you own, the more voting power you have, then I feel like that would be self-destructive in the future when people figure out, okay, I don't have as much power as I thought. This isn't as decentralized as I thought. So I think that they're just looking for answers. I mean, when you have a project like Kadena doing all these things, they have to figure something out. So I don't think it's the solution, but I mean, who knows?
I'm just glad that Kadena went the right way with proof of work right at the start. But knowing, the guys that built it with Will and Stuart, that, from their backgrounds, it's pretty obvious they were never going to go proof of stake. So definitely built the right chain here. And the good thing is that right now, Kadena is still small enough that they can make major changes and stuff to the protocol, get nodes changed over, get exchanges on board quite easily. Whereas, when you're dealing with a beast like Ethereum or Bitcoin, trying to update something to their core protocol is super duper hard because of the fact of all of the nodes, all of the exchanges and everything. It's a huge overtaking.
Yes,
so I wish them nothing but the best. I do know that I'll be moving most of my Ethereum tokens and stuff over through bridges to wherever I can, just in case.
No, yeah, I have a great amount of NFTs on Ethereum, and I want to hope that doesn't just I want to hope that they'll be okay. So yeah,
if something was to happen to NFTs on Ethereum, wow, that would just be like like the end of crypto in a lot of people's eyes. Could you imagine like all the Bay Yacht Club NFTs just all of a sudden disappeared? Man,
that would be tough to come back. At least from the art aspect, the utility will always be there with NFTs, but that'll be tough. That'll set us back, a good 2-3 years.
it would be all of the huge celebrities and people like that own them that would just lose it. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing and it just disappeared.
Yeah.
So luckily, we don't have to worry about that with Kadena. But you never know. Down the line, when Kadena's possibly the next type of Ethereum, we could be running into those kind of situations.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit more about your facilities. Now, you said you're right now in your second facility and you're working on your third. Is that correct?
We're on our third facility right now. So our third facility is planning to be our headquarters, and I can kind of talk about that because this is the highlight here. So our headquarters is going to include our office and everything, and basically it's going to include solar power and full immersion cooling. So at our first spot, we actually have that first immersion tank. So the third facility is planned to be, everything is going to be immersion cooled. So we wanted to make sure we had proof of concept that we can actually pull off, getting these things overclocked in the tank before we even, poured our pad for our third facility. So yeah, basically that third facility is going to have 2.6 megawatts that we just got approved for from FPL, our local utility company. And it's going to have 7,200 square foot. So a little bit about the 2.6 megawatts. Like I said, that's enough power to run over it was 890, I believe. So we'll say 900 KD6s. So yeah, it's quite a bit of electric that we're getting pumped in there. And like I said, with solar and all of that.
Now, coming into the future, when, like you said, you're going to be giving these miners only have a lifetime of 3 to 5 years, but at the same time, it seems like they're coming out with better and better miners in even less amount of times. So let's say they come out with a miner that does 3 times what the miners you have now do. Any chance that at that point you would consider upgrading the miners before the time was over, or would you just say start another tank with those miners?
Yes, if we have a certain amount of spot, it only makes sense for us to put the most efficient miner in that slot. And what the most efficient miner is right now, air cooled, might not be what the most efficient miner overclocking is. So that's also the test of this first tank, is to see what miner is that we can be the most efficient with overclocked in the tank, because that's essentially what our third facility is going to be. So yeah, if we find that this is X amount % more efficient, we'll resell a miner that's been hashing for 3-4 years and put in and plug in that new one, because yes, we don't want the miners to go down. We want to stay on top of this. So if there's basically, what I'm saying is we're not going to run the miners until they're not working. We're hoping to, resell, and that's another stream of cash flow that we can use to support certain things like electricity or getting new miners. So that's kind of the idea on that.
Now, when it comes to the immersion cooling, let's go a little bit into the information of that. You have a whole bunch of miners going already. Let's wondering, how much are you guys overclocking these things? Like, what's their base that they should usually run at, and what are you guys running them at in the tanks?
So right now we have 3 different types of miners. So the answer to that is it's separate for each miner. So right now we have overclocked our K1 pluses around 20% right now, just by altering. There's 2 things you can alter. You can alter voltage and you can alter clock speed. So the only thing we've altered is clock speed, because we still have 6 KD6s left to put in the tank. So we don't want to start overclocking and then the tank temperatures be too high when we add those KD6s. So we just got a piece for our immersion tank. They're basically, it helps with the flow essentially. So we are going to install these. We actually just got them today. We're going to install those tomorrow. It's going to help bring the temperature of the tank cooler. So then we can then put in our 6 KD6s to then have a truly stable baseline tank. And then we can start really cranking up the overclocking. So the answer to that is we haven't actually overclocked yet, which we will do within the next couple of days. But we do know that we can do it. It's just a matter of which miner is doing this much percent. So that'll be something cool that we'll be sharing. And also we will be doing a full dedicated YouTube video on our immersion cooling. I don't know if you've gotten to see our first YouTube video that we've done with our air cooled setups and everything, but it'll be something similar to that.
Yeah, people love those behind the scenes of a mining facility, because, like I said, a lot of people don't get to see this stuff because it's not something most people do at their homes and in their apartments, because of the fact that it can be very costly to first initially set up, and then B, running it can also be very costly and also time consuming and hot. Now, when you said you got something for your tank, is it kind of like I'm thinking it's like a fish tank, how you have that piece that circulates the water. That's pretty much just kind of what you're doing with the immersion cooling, right? Is constantly circulating this fluid to keep the temperature ambient across levels.
Correct. So we have a 3-phase pump that basically is facilitating this whole circuit. So you have the pump pumping the hot fluid into the middle of the tank, and then that goes back out to the dry cooler, gets cooled, and the pump pushes it obviously through the dry cooler and back in. And the cold fluid, or the cold immersion fluid, enters at the bottom of the tank. And there's basically a spacer of around, we'll say 2 or 3 inches, that the cold air, it's like a grate with holes in it pretty much. And it basically allows for not all the cold air just to shoot up. So it keeps it at the bottom so it gets to the very back of the tank. I don't know if I lost you yet, but what we're about to put in is these things that allow for the fluid to immediately get shot up. If they're like they're literally metal blockades that shoot the fluid back up into the miners and help basically facilitate this. Because if there's not proper flow going on in the tank, then the fluid in the top of the tank gets too hot, resulting in obviously not being able to handle, like not be able to add more miners because it's too hot. So I don't know if that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
No, that makes sense. Regulation is very, when it comes to anything with temperature, air and flow regulation is always like the first thing that you have to look at, because especially if you're wanting to keep these miners at I'm sure the temperature would probably vary, a degree or 2 up and down once in a while, but you pretty much want to keep them at a steady temperature. Just
Correct.
out of curiosity, what is that temperature?
What is the temperature?
Yeah, like what temperature do these, when you're so for example, right now my computer's running, my chip's probably sitting at about 32 degrees Celsius or so right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what temperature was your fluid run at?
So the fluid, okay, we have the hot fluid that goes in from the top. It falls in the middle of the grate. That is around 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And basically the dry cooler has bounds to say that once the fluid gets to 140 degrees Celsius, that the dry cooler will work harder. And the fluid coming in at the bottom of the grate is around 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So then about the chip temperature, that all varies. So our K1 Plus chip temperatures operate from around 55 degrees Celsius, but on the the KD5s and all the gold shells, they operate extremely higher, closer to around 100 degrees Celsius. So it's like the temperature varies. So that's why it's such a science learning on each system how that flow comes in. And another thing to mention too is you would think by increasing the pump speed that you're increasing, the circulation in the tank. But really what you're doing is you're shooting the fluid way faster through the dry cooler, and the dry cooler can't cool down the fluid hot enough. So it's like a temperature to flow curve that you have to really optimize where that is. So it's very finicky, and you really have to dial in to your specific setup. But we feel that we've done that after these the flow controllers are installed. So yeah, quite a science.
Well, I'm sure I always like to, it sounds very technical, but I think I could break this down to a way that most people would understand, is that your cooling system is pretty much like an air conditioner, where it's sucking in the warm air and running it through a whole bunch of pipes to cool it down and then coming out cool. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a very basic kind of system, but doing something very high tech and very like whenever I think of immersion cooling or water cooled PCs and stuff, I've seen so many videos of people who like, oh, I'm gonna do water cooled PC, I'm gonna do it all myself, and it's like, no, don't do it yourself. You're I've seen videos where people are like, oh, that's all right, let's start it up. They start it up and it's just like poof, and your whole computer's ruined.
I'm not gonna lie, we knew BitCool obviously was dielectric and insulating, but when we still dropped a miner, and it was scary, the miner shouldn't be in any sort of fluid, any sort of electronics. So, and then oftentimes too, I hear some of my friends and everything, they'll respond like, dude, how does that even work? How is it not shorting out? I'm like, yeah, it's just,
well, it's not water, right? It's more like an oil.
Yeah, it's an oil, so it's actually insulating.
People see it and think, oh my God, what are you doing? That's crazy, dunking in water. But at the same time, it's the oil and water are very, very different in the way that they react to electricity. Whereas water will conduct electricity, and oil will more like solidify it and hold it.
It's insulate. Yeah, correct. It's not going to
insulate it. Yeah. So that's what people like. It's a huge, huge difference. Mm-hmm. So, but your tanks are super duper cool. I love. Now, when you that tank that you have right now, how many miners total could you fit in that tank, completely full?
So, space wise, you can fit about 30. Temperature wise, just depends on what miners you have in there. So it's really a question of that. And also too, like the dry cooler is 175 kilowatts, so it's graded to cool that many kilowatts. So also too, that can differ for everybody's setup depending on the dry cooler they have. But for us, we'll be able to get 26 in there overclocked. And currently, like we have the 20, so we're about to throw in the 6 KD6s here.
So you said that the building that you're building could pretty much hold up to 900 miners. So let's say let's top them out and say you're throwing 30 into each tank. That means you could have 30 tanks running. Now that sounds like quite like when I think of that, I think of looking at like a video of this big factory with a guy walking on a walkway above all these tanks with a chart, like taking down temperatures and things like that. So that's just what I picture, but I'm sure the reality is something probably a little bit different. Now, when it comes to regulating and stuff, is it all automated? Like, do you have alarms set up that if something does happen and all of a sudden the temperature just starts to shoot up, do you have a way that it'll like shut off all the miners and protect things?
Yeah. So we actually have this really cool miner software called Awesome Miner, and basically it allows you to track all that. You have alarms sent if the temperature is getting too high. You can pretty much work the miner better than the classic like UI that they give you from like the website. You know, just the classic like Yada BC for Gold Shell or Miner Tool from IB Link. So that allows for way more control and monitoring of your miner. And luckily too, these systems and the way the dry coolers and everything with immersion cooling is they're such stable environment. They keep everything such a stable environment that there's something else going wrong, you know, if the temperature of the miner is like skyrocketing. So it does a really good job rather than, you know, having it air cooled, then your ambient temperatures play a factor way more.
So with the immersion cooling, let's say, for example, I'm up here in Canada and I was to run an immersion cooling tank, and how much effect does summer versus winter and the ambient temperature have on those tanks? Will it affect it at all, or is it just kind of surface temperature at that point?
Yeah, so it actually does. So if it's raining, you know, here in Florida versus like a hot day, then the rain's actually helping cool down the dry cooler and the fluid outside and everything. So I would say that question is based more on like the dry cooler you have. So if you have a weak dry cooler that's like barely supporting, you know, a nice cool day, you know, once it gets really hot out, that dry cooler really won't be able to keep up. But luckily we've oversized. We were supposed to get a 125 kilowatt dry cooler and we oversized ours to 175 kilowatt just to be able to withstand that extra ambient temperature to really, so the dry cooler essentially works harder and harder, has more threshold to work to keep that fluid cool.
Now, each individual tank has its own dry cooler, or is it one dry cooler for the facility kind of thing, and everything gets pumped through it?
So that just depends. So right now we just have the 175 for our normal like 30 miner section that we have. So you can get some pretty big dry coolers. You can get like a megawatt dry cooler, and you know you can run a couple tanks on it, just depending on the tank size, obviously. But yeah, you can essentially have one Mac Daddy dry cooler and power a bunch of tanks.
Now, all these tanks are they individually, like the liquid is set in one, or do they all kind of run together, like the liquids, like they're all piped together?
So for each system is closed. So basically the fluid for this tank is going to stay in a closed system, but that dry cooler can have like that one segmented dry cooler can have another, you know, closed system on it with another tank.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
At least as far as I don't know, there may be others, but the company that we're working with, Engineering Fluids. So anybody looking to get into immersion cooling, you know, check them out. They're really great as far as like advising and all that. So as far as Engineering Fluids go, that is the systems that we're familiar with. But I do know that there's a lot of cool tanks being made. As you know, immersion cooling is young, and we're constantly going to be having data centers. Like data centers are the future. So with that being said, they're the ones that are going to be able to survive are the ones that start switching to the renewable resources and basically the most efficient data centers. And I do believe in the future, 99% of the data centers will be immersion cooled. So I'm sure there's a lot of innovation coming in that sense from all the tanks and everything.
Maybe if Amazon was to liquid cool their servers, they wouldn't go down all the time. Just saying, or maybe, you know, Microsoft with their Azure that
is Jeff Bezos in the chat? I hope you heard that.
Yeah, really. He's too busy building giant dick rockets. So, yeah, sounds amazing. I know that the OG badge is going to be something that people are going to definitely want to get in on, and it's only going to be for the first 500. Now, like you said, you have more hash. Like if you wanted to, you could open this right up to even more. So after the 500 is sold out, how long until the next sale?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We have no reason. We have the available power. We have the available spots. We have no reason to delay anything. Obviously, we want to do ourselves a favor and, you know, get at least a couple weeks of marketing in before we do a launch. But after sale money's done, say if we sold out within the first week of our launch, you know, we have a great connect that I will be announcing later on, maybe in around a week. We have established a partnership with a miner manufacturer. So that's pretty exciting stuff. I actually put that in our Discord previous, but as far as time period goes, I don't see a reason why we would wait more than a month for the next supply to come out, which is really cool for the OG badge holders, you know, being able to instantly start reaping the rewards for the OG badge.
Now, I'm sure not everyone is in your Discord yet, although they should definitely join the Discord. So if you're not already, make sure you guys click on their profile and go to their Twitter page and go to their Discord and join it up. But you've released what the OG Badge NFTs are going to look like. So you're going to have your NFT that you buy that's going to represent your terahash, and then you're going to have your OG Badge NFT as well. So people who mint within the first 500 are essentially getting 2 NFTs.
Correct. Yep, 2 NFTs.
And then once either you team up with Mint It or release your own marketplace, it's going to be I think it's going to be just parabolic to see I think the OG badges will definitely sell for a higher floor price than even people's terahash NFTs if they want to sell them. But quite honestly, I don't see why anyone would want to, unless you're in a pinch where you need some money or something like that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's what we expect. We expect that the floor on the OG badges, because with a given hash rate, the hash rate NFTs, this hash rate is projected this much. You can calculate kind of how much it's making, and you can have a pretty accurate floor price. With the OG badge, it's up to everyone to decide that floor price. So it's up to them ultimately believing in, what KOR is doing, what we're building, where our future is, to ultimately determine, is this going to be, we'll just use, I just use an ETH as an example, because all the NFTs usually talk as an ETH, but a 10 ETH floor for the OG badge, because if this OG badge is going to make X amount in this year, then there you go. So
yeah, it's definitely going to be pretty crazy to see, and I know I'm for one, I'm super excited, because like the NFT market, and especially on Kadena, is just so in its infancies right now, that it's going to be crazy to see how people will be able, someone might snag one for a lower price, maybe like a 5 ETH kind of price or something. And the next thing you know, a month later, it's worth like, 20 or something like that. So hopefully people will see the value in it. Now, one thing that, so the maximum that you can mint is 100 terahash per your NFT, correct?
Correct.
So technically 5 people could sell out the first run if possible, technically.
Correct. 5 people can sell out. And that's why we kind of urge you guys to have, a little urgency with that. And if you want to get your OG badge, just quickly mint your 1 terahash off rip, and then right when the sale opens, and then you won't have to worry about, the possibilities and chances of 5 people minting 100 terahash all within the first 5 minutes are very low. So that gives people the time to, snag their stuff. And like I said, if a crazy situation like that does happen, and, the supply is very low in the OG badges, like I said, we'll immediately have new miners plugged in. So at least that you guys can start mining faster than you can think. So
now, just I doubt that would ever happen. So let's just go over a quick pricing of the NFTs. So if I want to get in and buy 1 terahash, what am I looking at paying?
Cool. So the 1 to 4 terahash will be $680 per terahash. So as your hash rate increases, you'll see basically the price per terahash will decrease. So I'm pulling up our little.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Cool. And I'm just pulling up our price sheet here and everything. So they're depending on the rarity, basically depending on the price per terahash. So we have 1 to 4 at $640 or $680. We have 4 through 9 terahash at $650 per terahash, and then 10 through 19 terahash at $599, and then 20 through 39 at $550, and then 40 plus terahash, $530 per terahash.
So if I'm going to go and buy 41, I'm paying 500. Was it 530? You said?
Yeah, 530 times whatever it is.
Times
41.
times 41. Correct.
Cool.
So yeah, that's awesome. So what? Now that we're done with we have the wrapped USDC. Just out of curiosity, was there any chances of you guys doing a Kadena mint in the future where you actually take KDA?
I'm kind of weird about this one. Some people say, oh, well, you can just swap your USDC for Kadena or vice versa. But I don't want Core to ever be looked upon as like we're taking KDA, you know. So that could be something if we do like a poll in our Discord and it's like, no, let's do Kadena. Okay, we'll do it, but we want to just stay with the stable coin essentially. And even just from our perspective too, if we have a big sale coming and then there's a crash in the market within, for whatever reason, say like a 5% crash within that couple hours, then we're losing on it essentially. So we feel like stablecoin is the best thing to do, and we'll actually be incentivizing people and have a little group in our Discord to help people with like the Lago Finance Bridge. So for those that don't know how to use the Lago Finance Bridge, we'll have people in our Discord helping you with that, getting the USDC from ETH over to Kadena. So because I do know the liquidity on the stablecoin USDC on Kadena is very low, and I think there was around like $80,000 to $100,000 of value. So if we were to sell out, then that's not enough money for our sale. So people are going to have to use their bridge. So if you are one of the people that do know how to use the bridge, please try to get your liquidity over and help those that don't necessarily know how to.
Yeah, that's one thing that I could see as a bit of a hurdle is people who just don't know how to do that, how to get K wrapped USD. So nice to hear that you got people willing to help in your Discord. And yet like I said, another reason to join their Discord. They're very helpful. There's always lots of people there. And let's maybe discuss another reason why people might want to join your Discord.
Oh, as far as the giveaway?
Yeah, let's get into that because I'm sure a lot of people are very, very excited to be here and have a chance to win one of these OG badges that we've been talking about, because it's going to be very coveted.
Cool. So as you guys know, we're doing our final OG badge giveaway prior to our launch. And real quick, that I have everyone here, that just because you win the OG badge here doesn't mean that you can't get your OG badge from minting. So everybody that mints still gets their OG badge. So you'll just have two. So lucky you. So for the giveaway, everybody come in our Discord right now. We're basically going to be asking one simple question in one of our chats, and the first person to answer it will be able to receive the OG badge. So you're going to have to be in our Discord for this. So we'll give you guys about a minute or two to pile on in.
Yeah, so make sure you guys, if you're not in their Discord, click on KOR's little icon here in the space. Go to their their Twitter channel, get on their Discord, join it right away. And like I said, we'll give you guys a few minutes to get in there because this is quite a big opportunity for you guys. Someone's going to probably win pretty big here. You're looking at least, if the OG badge is worth at least 1 terahash, you're looking at least a $650 value.
Correct, and it's a growing asset, so could be worth more. I don't want to say anything like that, but yeah, that's what we're projecting. But everybody needs to go into, at the very bottom, it's AMA giveaway under the contributions tab. So everybody go in there. We got Noah in there already. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question. And like I said, we'll give you guys a couple more minutes to get in here. We're just going to ask a simple question, and the first one to answer it wins the OG badge.
Yeah, that's right. So once you join their channel, like he said, scroll to the very bottom of all their channels, and then you'll see the category of contributions, and the very top channel is AMA giveaway. So get in there and say hello. Make sure you guys are, like I said, we'll give everyone a few minutes. I know that Discord can take a few minutes sometimes to get through. You got to, verify and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But yeah, huge chance for you guys. So while everyone's doing that, I just like to say that you guys are killing it, like just absolutely killing this game. I love everything I've been seeing so far, all the work that you're putting into your immersion minings and the different facilities that you have on the go, and just everything. I can't wait to see more videos. Like I said, I would love to see a video of you guys dropping one of these miners into the liquid, and like the looks on your faces. I could just imagine the like you're dropping like $10,000 to $15,000 piece of equipment into liquid. Like
cool. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do a video of me dropping it in, because like I said, we'll be over there tomorrow at the immersion cooling spot. So yeah, we'll actually get that out tomorrow, and it'll be in farm in the mines in our Discord. if people want to check in there, you got the cool light stuff going on in there, and you got basically anything that we add in our farm goes in that little sub channel. So yeah, we can do that. But yeah, thanks, man, for putting this together and everything. I know you guys are always slammed over there at KPN, but you guys are awesome for, putting together these AMAs and getting the projects chances to actually speak. And if it's not for you guys, how do the people figure out about us? So that's big shout out to you guys for that.
Yeah, thanks. We just look at ourselves as like a soapbox for people to get up, say their piece about their project, get a little bit of word out there, and then it's the community's job then to do your own research and pick the projects that you want to invest in. We never. I always say things like I'm going to be investing in this and all that kind of things, but that doesn't mean you have to. If you're listening, if it's not right for you, it's not right for you. Some people. I was very hesitant about NFTs until about a year ago when I got into NFTs, and but I was very much one of those people. I'm not buying a stupid picture of an ape. What the hell are all these people doing, spending all this money on this stuff?
Yeah.
But then when you actually look into the tech and things that are involved with it, you realize that there's something here, and I might be able to get in on the ground floor. So.
Correct. And I guess we'll give him another minute. And while we kind of have the extra minute, you mind if I just explain a couple things real quick? So we will have like a live stream up for that immersion tank. So you'll on our marketplace and on our DApp before the marketplace is made, you'll be able to, it'll be like a little webcam and it'll showing the immersion tank. So that whole entire immersion tank will be full of our first supply. So like I said, people will be able to hop on the DApp and go in the OG tab and see basically see their miners mining. So that's pretty cool that we're throwing in there. And yeah, I talked about KYC to redeem the badge and all the utilities. So the last thing I did want to mention, because everything's been going really great at KOR, but we have unfortunately one bad news to break. So our developer has gotten COVID and he's been sick for about a week. And we've been really pushing our launch date aggressively, so you guys are able to mine as fast as possible, because obviously time is money. So unfortunately, we will be pushed back around another week. So hopefully that hopefully you guys don't get too upset about that, because he does have COVID and it's fairly bad. So he's planned to start around Monday is when he thinks that he'll be ready to go. And then we just got another week left of testnet, and then we'll be ready to launch. So just wanted to get that out there. So our planned launch now will be the 15th.
Well, that's too bad to hear, but everyone's health and safety always comes first. So that's
correct.
Good to hear. Definitely.
And yeah, he was saying he's having a hard time focusing and everything. So yeah, I would rather our developer, who's coding your contracts, be fully healthy and have his full attention when he's doing the contract. So no worries on that. Just wanted to announce that. So
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, it looks like we got quite a few people in the giveaway chat. So I don't know how you were deciding on picking a winner or anything. It's really up to you. Oh yeah, the question.
Yeah, we got the question. All right. So hope everybody's in so far right now. So we're just gonna do one simple question here. And if you're a true OG, you'll know the answer to this question right off the top. So the question is, what is the name of our mascot?
Come on, let's see who's the first person to type it in the chat. I know there's.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Noah. Poor Noah.
Cool, man. So we'll DM
awesome.
you.
Well,
this will be the only time that we'll DM.
For everyone that's not in the chat, the name that won is Dodger Blue. I'm not sure who you are. Oh, you're saying Dodger Blue also here. So congrats to you for winning that, man. That was awesome.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and send him a friend request right now and send everything out before we have scammers jumping on. So
yeah,
I just sent Dodger
awesome.
Blue a friend request there. Go ahead and accept that. My name is MetaChase on Discord.
Awesome. That was really cool. I like the way that was done. Plus, you got a couple more people in your Discord now.
See, if you're an OG, you don't have time to look back on the post, to figure out what the mascot is. So he obviously has been watching us and looking for some time. So shout out to him for that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was awesome. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. This was very educational. I know that I, for one, am super excited. I'm a little sorry to hear that you guys have to push things back, but of course, safety and health is always number one. But things are rolling through, and you guys are gonna probably kill it in a couple of weeks. I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks again for everything.
Of course, anytime you guys got anything you want to get the word out, you guys just feel free to send us a message. We're always welcome.
Cool, man.
Thank you everybody for coming out. Congratulations to Dodger for winning that OG badge, and for everyone for coming out. It's highly appreciated. So make sure you guys go give KOR a follow, join his Discord, get all ready for everything. Get your go to Lago Finance and get your Ethereum bridged over so you're all ready to go. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck with your mint.
Sounds good, man. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
That wraps up another amazing AMA. Thank you for listening. Here at KPN, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. Please ensure to do your own research on each project before investing. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media, from Twitter to subscribing to our weekly newsletter. All the links can be found directly on our SoundCloud profile page. Thank you very much for listening, and take care.